Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to another live map making session. I'm Ralph Sherman of Fantasy Software, and I'm here to show you a little bit more of Campaign Cartographer tonight, and specifically Dungeon Designer functions. I hope you're all doing fine and enjoying the new year with lots of mapping, obviously, hopefully, and even if not, I hope you just have a good time. Sound is good. It's a little quiet. Let's see whether I can adjust my microphone a little bit or I can just speak up. So hopefully that's a little bit better. All right. So what's my topic tonight? I was looking around a little bit for topics and actually suggested to look at multi-level dungeons. We've done a little video on that quite a few years back, and I thought about a couple of things that we can do to look further into the topic and revisit stuff I've done before. And so we'll see what new stuff we can learn. As always, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. We'll all try to help out, and I'll try to show things on screen as they develop. So don't hold back and fire up any questions into the chat. If you're coming later to the video after it's archived on YouTube, you can always go to our forum or the Facebook group and ask questions there and still reference the video if you want to. And as always, if you like our content, please do give us a like and a subscribe and make the channel a little bit more visible by that on YouTube. Alright, so let's get going. I've got the sample map from the Jon Roberts Dungeon style in here. Originally, the style was released in the Cartographer's Annual, but since then it's been included as a example dungeon style in the base Campaign Cartographer. So yeah, everybody should have access to it. And if you click on the new map icon and then go to Map Type Dungeons, click Next, you should all see the Annual Jon Roberts and Annual Jon Roberts Metric version of the style listed here. We're gonna grab the Imperial Units 1 and click Next, and then I'm going to set the size of the area I want to map. Let's say, let's not make it too large, especially with multiple levels. We don't want to go too large, or it will be very hard to fill the areas. So let's do 160 by 120 feet in size, small cave. And now we're doing something different from previous things. We're not going to click on finish right away and click next. And then here we can set the background. I'll keep that as the stone gray, that's fine. And then next here. And then we are on the page of the map wizard that allows us to set up multiple levels. Originally, this was created for buildings in City Designer, then expanded to Cosmographer, to deck plans for starships, but we've also included options to do multiple levels for dungeons, because it comes in very handy there as well. And see, the naming scheme here is something we need to choose. The original ones here, American, British, and German, are for naming building floors. As most of you probably know, the British and the Americans do that in different numbering systems. Deck is for starships, and the dungeon version is for dungeons, obviously. And then what that does, selecting that disables the above ground level, because that's obviously for buildings where you've got above ground stories and cellars below. What we have for the dungeon, we can, if you want to have something on the outside, we can add the outside drawing to the list of drawings we create. And so I'll enable that, and then I'll keep it at 2 levels below ground, so we can have 2 different levels stacked on top of each other. And then we're just gonna do a finish, and this will create a series of maps. So I'll call this my dungeon. And one thing this does, it can't zoom to the size from the start. You'll have to zoom in to extend once to see just the whole map on the screen. What we also want to do is we're going to turn on sheet effects. It's still just from the old template that it doesn't have the effects on by default. We can go into the display speed button to set effects on when loaded. That way we have them always on when we load the maps. And then we do have our little directory of maps that we've created. We are on level 1. We can go from here to the outside map to level 1 was the current one, and we can go to level 2. See that the cursor changes to the pointy hand, showing that it's a hyperlink there, and clicking on that will open the respective map. They will not look very different at the moment, but I'll show you if I go out to outside. I'm going to save this version of the map. I'm on a new drawing. You can see here it's the name of my map, my dungeon, and then expanded with an underscore and outside. I'm going to do the same preparations here, effects on when loaded. Turn off the grid for the moment, and you can see this is the same except for that the current drawing is shown as the title here, and then the one that is grayed out in the list. And this, as this is the outside thing, there's already one thing I want to do just right away. I want to change the background, because that's going to be a grass or earthen floor. So what I'm going to do is to change properties, right click and select by layer, right click and choose the layer background, because that's the one the background image is on. Then right click and do it. And here I'm going to go for a different fill style. And we're just going to we can do the grass, earth and grass. And we don't have a mixed one, we could do the dirt. I'm going to go with the grass version, so grass green. Okay, and there's my green background, so we can see it's on the outside right away. Yes, as Sue mentions there with the effects on the map, it's why the older templates all have the effects off by default is because back then when we first introduced them, it could be very slow for the maps to redraw with the effects, because the effect system was still slower and the machines were slower, so it was better to have them off by default for just faster loading. That's not so much a concern anymore because everything has become faster, but on large maps with many sheet effects, it can still be useful to have them off, so you don't run into a very long reload time right from the start. Especially because then in many maps you might want to zoom in somewhere else right away, and then you have to wait again for the redraw. So it's basically comes down a bit to preferences. So I've changed the outside map here. Now I'm going to open the last one of our 3, the level 2 map. Zoom extends again. Turn on sheet effects by default, turn off the grid, and otherwise we are fine here. So we don't need to do any changes here, but I'm saving it anyway, so I've got all the maps zoomed to this position with sheet on effects on by default when I load them up. But then I'll go back to my level 1. Okay, Quentin says that's a volume. Yeah, I'm not sure what's changed. My output seems to be generally fine. I just recommend to turning the sound up a little bit, because otherwise I have to fiddle with the settings here, and it will just take some time. All right, so what do I want to do? My idea is to have an entrance a bit untypical for a usual dungeon setups, to have a hole on top of a cave. So basically you have to go down from the top to the descent into the cave, and that's going to be the entrance to the whole thing. Not a typical cave entrance at the side of a hill or a mountain or something, or a stair coming down somewhere, but simply a hole in the ground that you have to climb down. Okay, so let's put in a cave as our starting point. We've got the tools up here in the symbol catalog, so I'm just going to grab the cave tool and just build an irregular cave here. Oh, still sheet effects off, setting, there we go. There's my cave entrance. Oh, my basic central cave. Yes, you already can see we already have a little bit of the transparency agna there through because the same bitmap fills are stacked on top of each other, and I'm anyway not that happy with the contrast between the walls and the background. So I think what I'm going to change the background here as well, and I'm going to change it to a solid color, to a solid black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change properties and select by layer again the background. I'm going to do color 0 and the fill style to solid. Refresh, and there, that's much better. That's how I imagine it, the cave in the dark. And I'll add some rooms to that later and some side caves. But for now I'm just going to start with the base cave here. I do want to add a few walls, so see what we've got set up for cave walls here. Let's see, walls further down. There's our walls. Well, they're basically set up for dungeon walls and not the cave walls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cave wall drawing tool. And so let's have a look here. Let's just grab the wall default. Wall default. And do new wall cave. And then we're going to close this. We're going to make this 0 width so we get a closed polygon. Make that black color like the rest of the cave walls here. And solid fill style. Go. And then we're going to make it a fractal. And let's make the strength stronger, 20, but depth lower. That way we get a more pronounced fractal pattern on the walls. Okay. And now I can put in a column like that to show rock formations holding up the ceiling. There we go. Okay, so still not moving that much myself, and the microphone is fixed to my head, so it should be okay here. Not much I can do about the sound at the moment. All right, so now I'm thinking I want to define an area where someone climbs down, and for that I'm going to put in light, like daylight is shining from the ceiling of the cave down onto the floor. And let's have a look. Do we have in this style a light area? No, we don't. I know we have a symbol for that in Dungeon Designer 3, and I might just reuse that because it's just a very handy symbol to show lights, because I don't want to set up a light source or anything in this map here. It's going a bit too far. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load the dungeons and the DD3 dungeon catalog, DD3 color, and that should be in the wall features, I think. Let's have a look. Or is there? Or it might be in Elemental and Magic. Let's load that up. Yes, there's the glow in Elemental Magic. We need to put that on its own symbol sheet, or symbols torches should work. It doesn't have any sheet effects. The light shouldn't show anything. And I'm going to just increase the size and say turn off snap. And this is where the shaft is up. You have to come climbing down. Now I want to place it in the same spot, or the entrance in the same spot in the map of the outside. And how do I do that? Basically, the easiest thing is to put this in the clipboard and copy it over from the same reference point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit, copy, choose our symbol, do it. And as the clipboard origin, I'm going to use the default 00 by accepting that with the right click. And this way I know where it is referenced. Then I'm going to save and go to the outside map. And then I'm going to do edit, paste, and paste at 0.0. There we are. And now we know exactly where our hole should be. So it's obviously light spot, it doesn't make any sense here on that map. We need to do something else. And what I want to do is I want to show an earthen hole, basically a sinkhole or something. And for that, we are going to start off by putting a dirt area around this spot. And I'm going to turn off snap as well and just draw an earthen area here on the map. You can still see our symbol. And then I don't, no sheet effects are on, so yeah, that's fine. We have the transition from the dirt to the grass there. Now I need to show a hole. Well, how to do that? You can go about that in different ways, obviously, but I'm going to do something fairly simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a new sheet, add floors hole. And then I'm just going to do a circle on that. Background floor is fine, but we need to fill style of solid. Brush patterns solid. Circle. And let's see whether I can grab the center point of that symbol. No, that does not work. But I'm just gonna do that by hand. On the center point here. And now I can erase my symbol. There's my symbol. I matched it too closely, so it's hard to select. And then deselect the circle there. Yeah, black spot doesn't look very much like a hole yet, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a sheet effect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an edge effect, inner one. See how wide should my edge fade, 5 foot perhaps. Inner, the deepest most opacity should be straight black, so 100% opacity. And for the outside, I'm not going to completely fade it because I want to see a noticeable rim. So I'm going to say 20% auto opacity. And there's my hole. You could actually make the fade effect a little bit larger. See how it looks with 10 foot. Yeah, I quite like that. And then I want to offset the rim a little bit more. So I'm going to put a glow on that. Add glow. But that should be a brown. and not very strong, and say a couple of feet map units. See how that looks. I guess the edge effect is eating that up mostly. See whether that works better if I move the effect up. Yeah, that looks better. I've got a bit of dark rim around that. Oh no, it doesn't really move better because then I lose the edge effect, the fade effect. Perhaps if I make the glow somewhat stronger. No, that doesn't really work very well. Let's try another glow effect at the outer glow. So that works better. Brown. Just 2 units with a bit of a blur. Yeah. No, that also does. These effects can have some strange interactions. So what we can always do another sheet and do stuff like with that. But for the moment, see whether this works better if I move that up. Yes, though I do want to blur the edge more, so I'm going to do a 2 feet blur like that. There, it does work a little bit better. Alright, so I have at least a little bit of a darker edge around it. I can, of course, suggest in there to make the hole not completely circular. That would obviously a little bit more natural. Thinking about something unnatural happening here. So, but we could also instead use a polygon, for example, or fractal polygon, and see how that looks if we just draw a black polygon here on top of that, like that. And that way you've got an irregular shaped hole. I also quite like that. Works actually quite well. So I think I'm going to keep that. That does look nicely. And it does really look like a hole from here. Yes. So we've got a nice entrance here. We might, if we want to, we could take a look whether we have something that could show a way to go down there. See what we've got in up and down. We've got the ladder, although it's probably a bit. Should we try showing a ladder going down there? Let's have a look how that goes. We might want to stretch the symbol a little bit, so we show it on a longer section. So let's go right click and do independent X and Y scaling and make the X scaling 3 times as wide as the, and then we can scale that a bit. Perhaps make it even a little bit larger and put that on the edge of the hole here. I think that works actually quite nicely. Does look like the ladder is vanishing down there into the hole. Nice. And what I can do, I can now copy that over into our first level map. Yeah, let's just add, I think, a few trees here to the. Oops, we gotta set this back to normal. So just add a couple of trees here around our hole set somewhere in the forest. There we go, and one here. and then a few bushes. Oh, did these actually... Yeah. We can always put more detail on a map like this later. I don't want to spend too much time detailing the individual maps, otherwise I'll not get finished. There we go. Actually, the big trees should go on their own sheet. These should go on. Symbols, trees. Their own ones there. And that way they appear above the bushes. And I want to add a little bit of the dirt path leading down from this off to the side of the map. That should merge well. Alright, that's a good basis for further detailing. We know what the map shows, and that looks quite nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the ladder symbol, not the circle there, do it and set the choose 0, 0 as the reference point again, then go back on my level 1 and do the insert at 0, 0 again. And we've actually put it quite nicely there on our wall section of the map. And we, just to fit this a little bit better, I'm just going to move the pillar there. That's a nice accident that they match so nicely to the side. And now we know that the ladder comes down at this point of the map. Yes, Gwen, that's right. There certainly should be warning signs and a safety fence and some blinking lights to meet German security standards. This is not a safe place. We need to have a map safety person to check this. All right, so I quite like that. So next up, I want to put in extra details here to the map. This is going to be mostly, I think, a natural cavern area. And then we're gonna put in a sloping area down and then go to a dwarven mine or other created dungeon complex on the lower level. So this is very easy now on this black background to create the more caverns. You just grab this and you can easily overlap these and just put some side caverns in here. And then I'm gonna thinking here also can use the edit function to do that. And this is gonna be my tunnel leading downwards. We go. Extra cave here. So that's my cave layout. And now I want to show a little bit of descending steps here. And this I'm gonna do with some darkening on the cave floor. And it's also very nice that we can simply overlay that because our walls are just the black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab one of our floors. I don't think we have any darkening or shading tools in here. So what I'm gonna grab, where's my floor default? Gray, there's my floor default. Here we go. And let's make just floor darker. And we're just gonna make this black color, though that's not really important. What's important is here our bitmap fill, and we're gonna do the 30% fill like this. And to have smooth transition, we are actually gonna make this a smooth polygon. Go. And now I can just use this and draw this over my corridor here. See, it makes that section darker, and then I'm just gonna darken it progressively by drawing on top of this to show that it's going deeper into the darkness. Quick and easy. And should be quite obvious what it's supposed to show. Good. Now we could go in here and add some details, just some rock. Let's just do a little bit here in the center. I'd assume that where the light is shining down regularly, you'd get a little bit of plant growth. Certainly earth falling down, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look at the terrain field. No, let's just draw some irregular terrain here on top of our cavern floor. Like that, showing some earth, although this probably has gone on the outside, because that was terrain. Yeah, there it shows. And then we do need a little bit of green there. So I'm gonna put in some, although those probably go on the outside of on the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do outside moss, a new sheet. Okay, and then draw some patches of green on here. And then I'm going to go into the sheet effects, grab the edge fade from the normal outside sheet and paste it on here. And then I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it doesn't fade quite as much. And there's my greenery that's thriving in the little light that comes from the hole. I can even put in some plants, make the bushes a lot smaller here to show some plant growth, like this. And then on the outside of that, I'm gonna go to our cave and then put in some mushrooms. Set them back to normal, otherwise they get too small. In here, we do have 3 versions. So see how colorful that gets with a nice red. Yeah, so something there. Although I think the red is a little bit too strong there. I'm gonna raise that and put in one of the gray ones instead, smaller. And there we've got this little bit of growth in the center. All right. Of course, we could go in over. What I always like is add a little bit of water to this here, though we have to, because here we don't have the walls covering up stuff, we have to put it in there and follow the walls. So say we start here at 5 and then trace the wall up to here. There's a little bit of water that has collected in the cave. What else do we have? No, we don't have any monsters in this. The style is not that extensive. See whether we've got any floor coverings here. A little bit of variation in the floor that we can add. Oh, well, we don't have the broken up stuff. So we'll leave it at this for the moment. But I want to go down deeper now and take a look at the next level. level 2, and we all again want to take something from this side to show where the connection is, and this time we do have the corridor that leads down. So what I'm gonna grab is I'm gonna use Control C for the copy, grab the corridor or the cave, whole cave here, and also grab the height differences. Do it, and again copy origin is 0, 0. And now I'm going to go to level 2 of our cavern. Here we haven't changed the background here yet. I'm going to do that in a second. For now I'm going to Control V for paste again. Paste in my stuff at 0, 0. And now I need to switch the background, change properties by layer background, do it, and do first style solid color black. Refresh, and there's the cave I've copied over. Of course, here we don't want the whole thing from up there. Instead, we want the lower part only. So what am I going to do is I'm going to break this off. I'm going to do a break in the entity, click the edge here. We're going to go up to here. There we go. And then we're going to edit this to close that again. But of course we do have the wrong stuff of light transition here. We want to go up, and this should actually be getting brighter as I'm getting towards the top and not darker. It does so at the moment, but we're at the very dark here at the bottom, and I don't want to continue mapping in that dark floor color. I want to go back to my normal gray and then just show lighter steps for going up here. So we're going to change that a little bit. So what we're going to do is we are going to erase the existing shading. And now I need to do white solids on top of that to make it lighter. The thing is, I don't think the light bitmaps are in here. No. So they're not included in the template, so we need to include them, and I can show you how to do that quickly and easily. We go to Tools, Import Bitmap Fill Styles. Just click Browse here, and Bitmaps, and we do have a Transparencies folder, and there you can see the solids and solids whites. We just click one, open. We're not going to scale this. I will leave the suffix, that way the black ones will just get overwritten because they have the bitmap suffix. We don't need to scale this because those are flat without any pattern on them or anything, so scaling would make no difference. We also don't need to create other resolutions because they are already very small. So we just do OK, and it shows me that it's imported 9 new fills into the map. Those are the white ones. And now I can go into my drawing tools and take the floor darker thing, and instead of floor darker, I'm going to call a new one floor lighter, and going to change the properties from the solid to the solid white version. So I think because the brighter ones tend to have a stronger effect, I'm not going to do quite a strong one. Like this. And now I'm going to go from the other direction. So I'm going to draw. Here we do have a problem now, of course, because the white one obviously is on the top of the black and shows that. We can't hide it by simply drawing over the dark background. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a straight one. Okay. Start here, top of snap actually. And then I'm going to trace the existing 1, so it just follows the exactly. Here I can actually like this, and then I'm going to do it again. Start here, trace this like that, and then again from here, and once more trace from here to here, and this way we've got the floor lighting becoming brighter going up. And now I need to decide how to continue my map here. So I'm going to start out by expanding my cavernous corridor a little bit with the edit function. Just go a little bit across here. And then, oh, that was a cancel accidentally. That's not what I wanted. Right click and then a left click to actually connect these. And now I want to go into a room layout here. So for that, I'm gonna open up my room tool. So we have very strange colors here. That's from another style, obviously. So we need to change our colors a bit. Let's make a dark gray, and above all, we need to change our fill styles. So I'm going to do gray flagstones. No, that's the wall actually I'm using here. So I should do something else for that. Dot gray. The wall stone gray. That's the one I want to use. Half a foot width for the walls seems about fine. And for the background, I want the gray flagstones here. All right. Turn on the polygon version, and now we need our grid. So, and now I'm gonna draw a bit of a layout here. We could have also use our random dungeon function at this point, but I'm happy with drawing these shapes myself. So now I'm gonna want to handle this connection here somehow. So I want to put in a door at this point, a nice big double door, ideally in stone, I think. Nice is an impressive entrance to a dwarven underground area. And then I want to edit my cave floor to go up here to there, right click, finish, and that way we have the connection there between the cavernous floor and the dungeon layout. Oh, and notice I've not quite wanted to make it symmetrical, and I've gone a square too far here on the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit, reshape, stretch, select both the background on the wall, do it, and then select these 2 points and just stretch everything from there to there. And now I'm symmetrical again. Now let's do a couple of rectangular rooms, or say a big one here. Then some side rooms. Going to connect them all in a moment. There we go. Then we can also put in obviously some other shapes. Let's do a circular room here. And another. Oh, actually the rest I think we can do with corridors. So I'm gonna take a look at my corridor section, and I want to make them actually First some wider ones, 10-foot corridors. All this, I actually didn't change the color for that. Let's make that a brighter gray. Okay, and then I'm going to use the break command to break the spaces into the walls here. Okay, same on this side. And then I'm going to go for some smaller corridors. So I'm going to click this again and do 5-foot corridors. Here I'm going to connect these here. And here. Oops, that was the wrong spot. Click and click. And then we need a connection to the round room here. And then I want to do a secret connection, perhaps going here from the round room up to the corner. And because I don't want to show that there's room, I want to put some secret symbols in there, so I'm not going to break them. I'm just going to connect, no break, so press C instead of the B here. There we go, and to here. And see, that way the walls are preserved. And then we could go in and detail the walls here, or the interior of the rooms. For example, if we wanted to put in some pillars, we could use the stone pillar tool here. Probably turn off snap for a moment so they don't get too large. See, they get made into wall-like shapes by the sheet effects. Use the copy effect. Do not snap again, and this way you can make nice pillared halls quickly. There we go. Put in some torches on the walls. This direction. Go. Could of course use lighting from Dungeon Designer 3 again. Let's do a quick look. Dungeons, D3 Dungeon, D3 Color, Elemental and Magic. And I think there's some half-shaped lights in there as well. So we do need our own symbols there for this. See, in this way we have some quick light features without bothering with actual lighting on the map. That looks quite nice already. And from there I would go on and create the dungeon as normal. The only thing I want to do now a bit, I want to fiddle a little bit with the key, with the links to the other levels, because the auto-generated layout and things is not normally very nice. You can always do better with your own stuff. For example, I don't like the font for this. It might be nice for the title of the map and the room labels and stuff, but I don't like it for a functional menu like this, a functional key. And so view, show hyperlinks. That's always good to see where the links are to the other world. So if you're moving stuff around, so you're not leaving them behind, breaking stuff. That's why I usually show these. And also see whether they're on their own sheet or layer. See, they're on key text. They're also on key text, so we have to be careful with what we edit. Well, sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the text properties here. We go and do that as something a little more functional looking. Let's see, Helvetica or something, or Helvetica. There we go. Yeah, and then also the spacing looks better that way. But what I don't like is the bright white of the background. So what I could do is, let's have a look where is that located. That's on the key sheet. Perhaps we can just add a little bit of transparency to that. That's usually an easy option to soften any brightness, but that's too much. So we do still need, say, a 75% opacity on the level. There we go. And if we want to do a little bit extra of the key text, we could perhaps add a little drop shadow. It's just 30% opacity. Oops. With no blur radius. Oh, that's clearly too much. That gets very hard to read. So we need to make the distance much smaller, say just 0.2. Oh, for both directions though. That's perhaps not quite enough. Yep, I quite like that as a little extra. There we go. Oh, that's the problem. I did not set the sheet effect size to the map units, so instead it's based on the view level, I think. Yeah, percent of view width. We need to change this to, and then it's a bit too much again. So let's go back to the 0.2. There we go. And just gives it a little bit more weight. And we can need to change that on the other maps as well. What we also can do is we can, what I always like is to put points on the map to link to other levels. So let's have a look, show our hyperlinks again for the moment. Use extract properties on one of them. There we go. And then we're just gonna do link tools, hyperlinks, link with map. And we need to go to our folder we were working on, to videos, fantasy streams. Where are we? There we are. Oh, did I think I have accidentally saved them somewhere else. Where did I save my maps? Do files fs. Ah, there we are. So let's grab these. My dungeon. Oh no, actually I can just link to here. File, tools, hyperlinks, link with map. That would be, and I might be showing off a little bit what I'm working on at the moment. So let's have a look. That would be in cover design here, and you can see that I'm working on CC4 stuff in the background. And I'm just gonna link to the level 1 map here and put the link hotspot here. What we need to do then though is to, oh no, it actually has the dollar sign in there in the name, that means on the same layer or in the same folder as the parent map. So we're all good. We should now be able to just click here on this section and jump to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change properties, change that to the text properties to Helvetica. Okay, okay. And add the little drop shadow effect. 2.2, 30%, no blur in map units to that. And then you show hyperlinks. Okay, there's something weird here. Why are these too large? There's something. I've seen to. It looks like I've broken the hyperlinks here. I don't know why. If you hide hyperlinks, they don't show up. Unsure what I've broken there. Let's have a quick look and go to my previous map. They're fine here. Must have accidentally edited them. So what I'm going to do is view show hyperlinks. They're also not. I can select them. Okay, let's remove them for the moment and draw tools, hyperlinks, link with map. The outside from this one and to level 2 with this link here, and also link to tools, hyperlinks, link with file. No, not just link with file, but link with map. Link with map with a level 2 from the spot here. And to the outside from the ladder. And now I click on this, save the map, change text properties here to Helvetica. No, didn't get the other stuff. There we go. Extract properties, but don't forget to add the drop shadow effect. 0.2, I should have probably just copied the drop shadow effect over. Would have been easier. And then link with map tools, hyperlinks, link with map with the level 1 from the ladder. You hide the hyperlinks, and now all the hyperlinks are hidden again, and I can just click on here and jump to my level 1 map, click here to go to level 2. From here, go back to level 1 and go back to outside. And there's my little connected map of a cave entered through a big hole in the ground and leading to a little old dwarven dungeon. Okay, there we go. And that, I always love these little connected maps. It's, of course, if you're not much use if you're printing them, because then you can't use the links together. But if you're using them on screen, it's just a very convenient little thing to have. All right, thanks, guys. That was it for tonight. The hour of mapping is over. I hope you enjoyed tonight's little session. Sorry if I was a bit quiet, and I'll have to double check my mic settings for next time again. And as always, if you have any questions later, put them in the forum. Happy to show off stuff if you're interested. They are not really finished maps here because I didn't get around to filling in everything else. But if you want to take a look at them, to pick through the things I've done and see how the setup is, I can always put them on the forum. I'll do that tomorrow. And otherwise, have a good evening. Do like and subscribe our channel. And hope to see you next week. All the best. Bye bye.